Tariff slowdown has begun. Bookings of container shipments from China to the U.S. are down nearly 50% compared to a year ago.
Every attempt by Trump to counter China is met with a retaliatory move from Beijing. His stance on American ports and Chinese shipments seems to have backfired. China's response, including blocking billions of dollars worth of cargo, has effectively nullified Trump's tax strategy in a single blow. What Trump didn't anticipate was China's ability to hold back more than $10 billion worth of cargo in just 10 days. This isn't a direct blockade, but rather part of China's strategic play, which appears to be working. U.S. ports are now facing delays, with Chinese ships missing scheduled arrival times and essential cargo failing to reach its destination. A significant portion of U.S. imports is heavily reliant on China, including raw materials, spare parts, and finished products. This has put entire industries at risk, and it seems that the countdown for Trump's strategy has already begun, with the consequences becoming clear after only 10 days. If this situation continues for longer, the fallout could be far more severe. Before we dive deeper into the details, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, activate notifications, and join our live broadcast to stay updated on the most important developments. While it may sound like a bold claim, China's actions in blocking or delaying shipments to U.S. ports go beyond a simple port closure. It is part of a carefully planned strategy that leverages China's logistical and geopolitical influence. Rather than an outright closure, China is strategically slowing down port operations, extending paperwork processes, imposing quotas, and disrupting the flow of supplies. This move is designed to apply pressure on the U.S. as long as tariffs continue to impact China's economy. Recent news reports indicate that this maneuver has stranded around $10 billion worth of cargo, with a substantial amount of goods awaiting processing at the docks. This is merely a temporary result, but if it extends for a month or even a year, it could cause severe disruptions. The port delays are, in essence, a bargaining chip for China. If Trump refuses to reduce tariffs, the delays could worsen, not just $10 billion, but potentially $50 billion worth of cargo could be held up. Trump's surprise stemmed from his assumption that China would never take such a direct step. Trade wars have typically involved tariffs and import bans, but port closures and logistic blockages are uncommon and far more disruptive. Such a move has the potential to shake the foundations of global trade. According to White House leaks, Trump and his team are exploring diplomatic channels to resolve the issue swiftly, though as of April 2025, there has been no clear sign of a compromise. Some observers note that hopes of de-escalation have vanished, and the situation has entered a much harsher phase. Both China and the U.S. are now locked in a mutually restrictive trade war, with tariffs, technology transfer restrictions, investment bans, and even port closures further intensifying conflict. The blocking of cargo, which is currently valued at $10 billion, reflects the growing discomfort in trade relations. Trump has long argued that China's unfair trade practices, such as cheap exports, intellectual property theft, and market dominance, must end, leading to the imposition of high tariffs. In return, China has imposed retaliatory tariffs, increasing costs for both sides. However, the situation has shifted, with China using its production power and logistical advantages to push back. By delaying shipments, China is challenging the U.S., saying, "Let's see who can hold out the longest." The current $10 billion worth of stranded goods is just the beginning. If delays continue, it could escalate into $20 billion or more, causing widespread disruption to industries and economies across the globe. China's role as a dominant force in global supply chains is clear, and the U.S. is now learning just how vulnerable it is to China's logistical control. Trump's response to the situation is uncertain. Higher tariffs or forcing Chinese cargo ships into U.S. ports might be possible options, but such measures could lead to a massive blow to global trade. Furthermore, the U.S.'s attempts to pressure China via trade negotiations could face further complications, as China's actions are not just about economics. They also reflect deep-seated geopolitical tensions. Relations have been increasingly strained over issues like Hong Kong and Taiwan, and this logistical maneuver further intensifies those divides. China's decision to disrupt the flow of goods at ports is particularly concerning for sensitive industries, such as electric vehicles, EVs, semiconductors, and lithium-ion batteries. With China being a leading producer of EV components, delays in shipments could hurt U.S. manufacturers, including giants like Tesla. The delay of essential parts and materials could disrupt production schedules, impacting both major companies and startups in the U.S. The electric vehicle market, crucial for the U.S.'s green energy transition, could face significant setbacks if these disruptions continue. As a result, U.S. companies are scrambling for alternatives. Some are considering rerouting goods to other Asian countries like Vietnam, but logistics costs would rise significantly, and China may attempt to block these bypass routes. Others are looking for new suppliers, but sourcing large quantities of products elsewhere is not feasible in the short term. Some companies hope that this is just a temporary bureaucratic issue, but the scale of the blockade suggests that China is making a strong diplomatic statement. The question now is whether this is just the beginning of a much larger economic confrontation. If the cargo disruption continues to escalate, the U.S. and China could find themselves in a protracted struggle that weakens both economies. As tensions rise, global trade faces serious risks. The blockade of $10 billion worth of cargo may only be the tip of the iceberg. If unresolved, the figure could rise to $50 billion, affecting sectors ranging from textiles to electronics to automotive parts. This trade war is no longer about tariffs alone. It is about controlling vital logistical routes and trade flows. As both countries push their respective agendas, the global economy is being held hostage by this strategic rivalry. The most pressing concern is whether a resolution can be reached in time to prevent further disruptions. If the situation drags on, it could lead to even greater economic damage for both China and the U.S., as well as the world at large. In conclusion, the blocking of cargo is not just an economic maneuver. It is a geopolitical strategy that underscores the power China wields over global supply chains. Trump's administration is now facing a critical challenge in addressing this issue. The next moves in this high-stakes game could shape the future of international trade and economic relations for years to come. Will a diplomatic solution emerge, or will this conflict escalate even further? Stay tuned for further updates, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest developments.